Well over a third of North Americans believe we've been visited by creatures from another world. An astonishing number, considering no alien has been photographed, interviewed, or given a press conference. This belief in alien life forms is fueled by the crash of an unidentified flying object in Roswell, New Mexico, over 50 years ago. The crash in the desert town of Roswell is a sacred event for UFO believers, tantamount to the birth of Christ.
Roswell was a turning point in man's history. It clearly established several interesting things. One, we're not alone in the universe.
This is the Holy Grail. This is the smoking gun. This is the case that will prove that UFOs are extraterrestrial.
The United States Air Force claims the Roswell story is just a fairy tale.
Roswell never happened. There never was a spacecraft that landed Roswell. There never was an alien.
Today, as far as the Air Force is concerned, it's not only case closed, it's case solved.
The roots of the Roswell story can be traced back to the late 19th century, the dawn of the modern era of UFO sightings. A time when magnificent men and their flying machines are on a quest to conquer flight. And the people who see UFOs aren't seeing flying saucers, but monstrous airships, man-made.
During 1896, 1897, there was a technology mania sweeping across the United States. And there was a rumor that an American had been the first person to perfect a heavier-than-air flying machine, a practical vessel. In that climate, people started seeing airships everywhere.
There are accounts that describe these airships with wings flapping like a giant bird. Each report that is printed in the newspapers fuels what becomes a national obsession. The public believes these airships are secret military weapons.
For the most part, which is very funny, the airships were populated with human beings, most of them on their way to bomb the Spanish in Cuba.
And like Roswell 50 years later, there is talk of the government deliberately hiding the truth from the public.
There were stories, rumors that the United States government was actually responsible for the airship sightings and was conducting secret experiments.
In the small town of Aurora, Texas, there is an account that has a remarkable parallel with Roswell 50 years later. There are reports that the remains of a crashed airship have been uncovered, as well as the body of the pilot, an alien being. The report is published in the Wise County Messenger and is picked up by other newspapers. People drive for hundreds of miles to the local cemetery to see the alien remains. But soon, doubts are cast on the entire story.
It apparently was started by a stringer for the Dallas Morning News who was from Aurora. Aurora had been bypassed by the railroad, and disease had pretty well decimated the population, and he was trying to put his small town back on the map.
Within a week, the story dies down and is forgotten.
Came the father of aviation.
In the next several years, the Wright brothers invent the airplane, and the fantasy of heavier-than-air flight craft becomes reality. The mystery is all explained, UFO sightings die off, until World War II.
Delivery of the first airplane.
The air battles during the Second World War give people across the globe a new reason to fear the skies. There is a sudden resurgence of UFO sightings.
It really was a byproduct of World War II. That was really the first time in U.S. history or in world history that people really watched the skies. They were looking for enemy bombers. During World War II, the Japanese launched balloon bombs that actually landed in the northwestern United States, and 4 people were killed.
There were lots of reports by pilots of strange vehicles, each side thinking they were the other's secret weapons, so of course they didn't talk a lot about it. It's only after the war when the pilots got together, "I thought they were yours." "No, we thought they were yours."
The public is terrified of new weapons of mass destruction that can be launched from the ground and flown through the air without a plane or a pilot.
Everyone had German V rockets on their minds, and there was a war hysteria at the time. People were very concerned about foreign weapons and the atomic bomb, and the atomic bomb would be deployed most likely in the form of a rocket.
This morbid fascination with the skies soon turns into a frenzy. On June 24th, 1947, a remarkable sighting. Amateur pilot Kenneth Arnold is flying his single-engine plane when he sees strange crescent-shaped objects in the sky. This sighting is the spark that will lead to the country's excitement over Roswell, for it is the first time an airborne pilot sees UFOs.
He wasn't thinking space travelers, he was thinking secret government vehicle. Wow, so fast, and look at that, and 9 of them.
He timed the sighting, the objects moving between a couple of points on the ground, and determined they were moving around 1,800 miles an hour. In 1947, we hadn't even broken the sound barrier yet, which is, 760 miles an hour at sea level. Here's something moving about 3 times that speed, or 2 times that speed plus.
After the atom bomb was developed in secrecy, you see, everybody knew the government did some things that they didn't tell us about.
Arnold first calls authorities about the UFOs, but gets no response. To the Air Force, the Kenneth Arnold sighting is a common occurrence.
I think it'd be safe to believe that Kenneth Arnold saw things that pilots see today and have seen for years. When you're flying, it's very difficult to judge the time, speed, and distance. That's why you have aircraft instruments inside your aircraft.
Dismissed by the authorities, Arnold tells several newspapers about the strange objects. They grabbed the story